going over Unit 3J and absolute value. We've already briefly talked about this in one class because on ALEKS they had questions that were absolute value. So you should already have a basic idea of this, but now we're just going to go through some problems. And our learning objectives for today, or what you need to be able to know, is one, what does absolute value mean? And how can we compare numbers using absolute value? All right, so this video shouldn't be that long. It should be fairly quick. All right, as we talked about before, the absolute value of a number is the distance between the number and 0 on a number line. So if I say, what is the absolute value of 5? Well, I can draw a number line, and I know that 5 is 5 units away from 0. So the absolute value of 5 is 5, because it's 5 units away. The absolute value A of a number is written as this symbol here. So instead of saying the absolute value, we can write 5 in between these two lines. And we know that this is then equal to a positive 5. And if I say the absolute value of -2, what does this equal? Well, I know that -2 is 2 units away from 0. So -2 is equal to +2. The absolute value of -2 is +2. All right, remember, it's the distance away from 0, and distance must always be positive. All right, so distance must always be positive. So we can represent it by using this symbol, and we're going to talk about how we can find some, or how we don't by using a number line, and how we can find them without using a number line. All right, so for this question, it says find the absolute value of 3. It can be written out as a word in words like that, or I can just say absolute value of 3 is equal to. All right, so for this one, we can go ahead and we can plot the point 3, and we can see how many units away from 0 it is. 1, 2, 3 units away. So the absolute value of 3 is equal to 3. The next one, we can do -2 1/2. And from here, we are at -2 1/2 is plotted here. Well, we are 1, 2, and then a half a unit. So the absolute value of -2 1/2 is +2 1/2. Right? You don't have to draw this number line. Just know that when we give you the absolute value of any number, whether if it is a positive number or a negative number, it's still going to be equal to the positive value of that number. So the absolute value of -1,258 is going to be equal to 1,258. All right, so just know that when we talk about the absolute value, it's just simply going to be the positive value of that, because we know that -3 is still the same distance away from 0 as 3 is, because these numbers would be opposites. All right, real quickly, we're going to go through these just to show you how easy this can be. Well, the absolute value of 8 is 8. The absolute value of 1/4 is 1/4. The absolute value of -6, well, we know it's going to be equal to 6 because its opposite is the same distance away from 0. So its opposite is going to be our answer. And then from this one, it'll be +7 1/3. The absolute value of 0 is simply 0 because it's the same distance away from itself. And the absolute value of -12.9 is +12.9. Right? Just know that our absolute value is talking about distance, and distance is equal to a positive value. All right, so just make sure that you are writing your positive numbers when we're doing absolute value. All right, now we're comparing them. So that means we're going to be saying, is it greater than or is it less than? And you can do this by plotting our points. So I'm going to plot 2 in the red. So 2 is going to be, So 2 is going to be plotted here. And then it says the absolute value of -5. Well, I know that the absolute value of -5 is actually equal to a +5. So then that point I'll plot in green will be here. So then which one is actually greater than? Well, 5 is greater than 2, so that means 2 is less than the absolute value of -5, because although we see a negative number there, this -5 is actually representing 5, and 2 is less than 5. Right? So from here, we're comparing the absolute value of 3.5 and -1. Well, I know that the absolute value of 3.5 is equal to 3.5, and 3.5 is greater than -1. So the absolute value of 3.5 is greater than -1. And this one should jump out at you because we know that the absolute value is always going to be positive, so it will always be greater than any negative number. All right, that is it for this video.